Principle 1. Control what you can, release what you can't. Have you ever loved someone so deeply that you found yourself worrying about every little thing, what they thought of you, how they felt, whether they'd stay by your side forever? Think about it for a second. Maybe it was your first love, or maybe it's the person you're with right now. Do you remember how much energy you poured into trying to keep everything perfect, almost, as if love could break at the slightest mistake? Now let me ask you this. Did all that worrying make the love stronger? Or did it slowly drain you? The Stoics taught something powerful. Focus only on what's within your control. Your thoughts, your actions, your words. Everything else, what others feel, how they behave. The storms of life isn't yours to hold. Imagine love like a candle. You can guard it from the wind, keep the wick trimmed and let it burn steadily. But you can't stop the seasons from changing or the night from falling. The flame will last longer if you care for it, but it's not yours to own forever. So here's the truth. When you try to control someone's love for you, you lose both their love and your peace. But when you focus on your own actions, your kindness, your honesty, your patience, you free yourself. You let love breathe. Now pause for a moment. Think of someone you loved. Picture their smile. What if instead of worrying about losing them, you had simply given your best self and let the rest unfold? Wouldn't that love have felt lighter, freer, more real? That's the first Stoic principle for transformation. Control yourself, release the rest. Principle 2, see obstacles as lessons, not punishments. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever had a fight with someone you deeply loved? Maybe it was over something small, a text left unanswered, a harsh word spoken in the heat of the moment, or maybe something much bigger that shook your heart. Do you remember how it felt? That burning in your chest, that voice in your head whispering, "Why me? Why now?" We've all been there. Love feels beautiful when it's smooth. But the truth is, every relationship faces storms. And here's where Stoicism whispers wisdom. Obstacles aren't punishments. They are lessons. Think of that one painful moment in your love story, maybe a time when you felt betrayed, or when distance pulled you apart. At first it felt unbearable, right? But now looking back, didn't that very obstacle teach you something? About patience, about forgiveness, about your own strength? The Stoics remind us, life doesn't place obstacles to crush us, but to shape us. Just like fire grows brighter when the wind blows, love too becomes stronger when it survives hardships. The late-night arguments, the days of silence, the misunderstandings, those weren't signs of failure, but opportunities to understand each other more deeply. So here's the shift. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" Imagine how different your love story could feel if every obstacle became a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. Pause for a moment. Remember the hardest challenge you faced in love. Would you be the person you are today without that test? Probably not. That's the second Stoic principle. Obstacles aren't the end of love. They are the teachers that make love real. Principle 3. Practice detachment, love without chains. Let me ask you, have you ever loved someone so much that the thought of losing them terrified you? You held on tightly, maybe too tightly, because the idea of life without them felt unbearable. Do you remember that feeling? The late-night worries, the jealousy, the fear that they might slip away. We've all felt it. But here's the truth. When love becomes possession, it stops being love and turns into fear. And fear suffocates the very thing you want to protect. The Stoics teach us something radical. Love deeply, but don't cling. Imagine holding a butterfly in your hand. If you grip it too hard, you crush its wings. But if you let it rest gently, it stays freely, willingly. The same is true in relationships. When you detach from the need to own love, you create the space for it to breathe. Think back to your own love story. Maybe there was a time you tried too hard to keep someone, checking your phone every minute, replaying their words, fearing silence. Did that make love stronger, or did it slowly drain your joy? Now imagine if you had loved them without chains, giving your heart, but without the desperate need to hold them forever. Wouldn't that love feel lighter, freer, more real? Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you love fully but without fear. You cherish today instead of obsessing over tomorrow. You give your best self, but you don't lose yourself. That's the third Stoic principle, true. Love isn't about clinging, it's about giving, trusting, and allowing love to live freely in the present moment. Principle 4, memento mori. Remember that love, like life, is temporary. Let me ask you something straight from the heart. Do you remember the very first time You held someone's hand you loved. That warmth, that spark, that silent promise that you hoped would last forever. Now think carefully. Where is that moment today? Did it last? Or did time in its quiet way move it into memory? The Stoics had a phrase, memento mori, which means remember that you will die. But don't misunderstand, it's not about sadness, it's about urgency. It's about realizing that nothing, neither life nor love, lasts forever. And that is exactly why every moment matters. Think about your own love story. The laughter, the long walks, the silly arguments, the times you stared into each other's eyes. Did you always realize, in those moments, how precious they were? Or did you, like most of us, think they would last endlessly? Here's the truth, love is fragile because life is fragile. And instead of fearing this truth, Stoicism teaches us to embrace it. Imagine if you loved as if every day could be the last time you saw their smile, heard their voice, or held their hand. Wouldn't you forgive faster, listen more deeply, and love more honestly? Memento mori doesn't mean living in fear of loss. It means living in gratitude for presence. The person you love right now is a miracle. Tomorrow isn't promised, so why not give them your truest self today? That's the fourth Stoic principle. Love with urgency, cherish with gratitude. Because every love story, like life, is a fleeting, beautiful gift. Principle 5. Amor fati. Love your fate, even when it hurts. Let me ask you something deep. Have you ever looked back at a love story that didn't go the way you planned? Maybe the person you thought you'd spend your whole life with drifted away. Maybe you loved with all your heart, yet life pulled you apart. Do you still feel the sting of that memory? The Stoics had a powerful phrase, amor fati, love your fate. Not just accept it, but love it. Even the heartbreaks, the losses, the nights you cried into your pillow, those too were part of your path. Think about it. That breakup you thought would destroy you, didn't it also teach you resilience? That rejection you couldn't understand, didn't it prepare you to value real love when it finally arrived? Every twist, every wound, every ending is not against you, it is shaping you. Now, imagine if you could look at your love story, not with regret, but with gratitude. What if, instead of asking, why did this happen to me, you whispered, this too was meant for me? How much lighter would your heart feel? Here's the secret. Amor fati doesn't mean ignoring the pain. It means embracing it, knowing it has a purpose. Because without the rain, you'd never notice the beauty of sunlight. Without heartbreak, you'd never know the depth of real love. So pause for a moment. Think of the one who broke your heart. Instead of bitterness, what if you thanked them silently? For teaching you, for shaping you, for preparing you for the love you truly deserve. That's the fifth Stoic principle. Don't just accept your fate, love it. Because it is yours, and it is leading you exactly where you need to be. Principle 6, cultivate inner peace, not outer approval. Let me ask you honestly, have you ever changed yourself just to keep someone's love? Maybe you acted differently, hid your true feelings, or even sacrificed your own dreams, just to avoid upsetting them. Do you remember how heavy that felt? Like you were carrying a mask instead of being yourself? We've all done it. In love, it's tempting to chase approval, to hear those words, I love you, I'm proud of you, I'll never leave you. But here's the truth the Stoics remind us. Real peace doesn't come from someone else's approval, it comes from within. Think of your love story. Maybe there was a time when you waited anxiously for a message, a call, or some small sign that you mattered. And when it didn't come, your whole mood collapsed. But pause for a moment. Should your happiness really hang on another person's response? Or should it rise from your own heart, steady and unshaken? The Stoics teach that if your peace depends on others, you'll always be a prisoner. But if your peace is rooted within, no rejection, no silence, no misunderstanding can destroy you. Imagine how much lighter love would feel if you loved freely. Not out of fear, not for approval, but simply because love lives inside you. Here's the shift. Don't seek validation, become the validation. Don't beg for love, be the love. When your heart is steady, your relationships transform. Because you no longer cling, you simply share. So let me ask, what if, starting today, you decided to stop performing for love and instead lived with peace, honesty, and self-respect? Wouldn't your love story feel more real, more free, more alive? That's the sixth Stoic principle. Seek inner peace, not outer approval. Principle 7. Master your reactions, not your partner. Let me ask you, do you remember the last time you argued with someone you loved? Maybe it started small, just a simple misunderstanding. But then voices rose, words got sharp, and suddenly the person you cared about most felt like a stranger across the room. Do you remember that knot in your stomach? That regret afterward when you thought, if only I had stayed calm? We've all been there. Love doesn't break because of problems. It breaks because of how we react to them. The Stoics taught that we cannot control others, but we can always control ourselves. Think of your love story. Maybe your partner said something hurtful. Maybe they disappointed you. Maybe they forgot something important. In that moment, your first reaction might have been anger or silence. But imagine if instead of reacting in heat, you paused, took a breath, and chose patience. Wouldn't the whole story have unfolded differently? Here's the truth. Mastering your reaction is the secret weapon of love. Because when one person stays calm, the storm ends faster. When one person chooses kindness over rage, love survives another day. The Stoics remind us you may not control what your partner does, but you always control how you respond. And that response decides whether love grows or withers. So let me ask you, if you could go back to one of your arguments and handle it with calm strength instead of anger, how much would that moment change your love story? That's the 7th Stoic principle. Don't waste energy trying to control your partner. Master your own reactions and watch how love transforms. Principle 8. Value the present moment. Love now, not later. Let me ask you something. How many times in your love story have you said, one day we'll take that trip. One day we'll have that dinner. One day we'll sit and talk for hours again. And yet that one day kept slipping further and further away. Do you remember the times you were physically with them, but your mind was somewhere else and scrolling, worrying, planning tomorrow instead of living today? We've all done it. Love often gets postponed because we assume there's endless time. But the Stoics remind us the only moment we truly own is now. Tomorrow is just a promise. Yesterday is already gone. Think of your love story again. Remember a moment when you wished you had appreciated them more. The way they laughed at your silly jokes. The way they looked at you when you weren't watching. The way their voice softened when they said your name. Did you truly savor it? Or did you let it pass like another ordinary day? Here's the truth. Love lives in the present. Not in the memories you regret. Not in the future you hope for. It's here in the small gestures. The hand you can hold right now. The smile you can give today. The I love you you can say before it's too late. So let me ask, if today were your last day with the one you love, what would you do differently? Wouldn't you put away the distractions, listen with your whole heart, and make this moment unforgettable? That's the 8th Stoic principle. Value the present moment, because love, like life, is not measured in years. It's measured in moments fully lived. Principle 9. Choose virtue over desire. Build love on character, not just passion. Let me ask you, do you remember the early days of falling in love? The butterflies, the late night talks, the racing heartbeat when their name lit up your phone? It felt magical, didn't it? But tell me honestly, did that passion always last forever? Or did it sometimes fade, leaving behind arguments, disappointments, and unmet expectations? The Stoics teach us something timeless. Passion is powerful, but it burns quickly. Virtue, honesty, kindness, loyalty, self-control. That's what builds love that survives storms. Think back to your own love story. Maybe there was someone you were wildly attracted to, but deep down you knew their words didn't match their actions. Maybe they were exciting but not steady. And maybe over time, you learned that passion without character leaves you empty. Now imagine a different kind of love, the one where virtue is at the center, where honesty builds trust, where patience heals wounds, where loyalty stands even in silence. Isn't that the love you truly deserve? Here's the truth. Desire may spark love, but virtue sustains it. The Stoics believed that a person's character is the foundation of every relationship. Without it, love collapses. With it, love deepens into something unshakable. So let me ask you, when you look at your love story, is it built only on desire or is it rooted in virtue? If you want a love that lasts, stop chasing excitement and start building character, both in yourself and in the one you choose to love. That's the 9th Stoic principle. Passion may begin a love story, but only virtue allows it to live forever. Principle 10. Practice gratitude. Love grows where appreciation lives. Let me ask you something from the heart. When was the last time you truly appreciated the one you love? Not just a quick thanks or a casual love you, but a deep, sincere moment where you looked into their eyes and said, "I'm grateful for you for everything you are." Do you remember? Or has it been too long? We often forget. In love, the small gestures become invisible. The morning text, the cup of tea they made, the way they listened to your endless stories. Instead of noticing, we focus on what's missing, on what they didn't do, on the flaws that bother us. But the Stoics remind us, happiness doesn't come from having more. It comes from appreciating what is already there. Think of your love story. Remember the times you complained more than you thanked? Did that bring you closer or slowly push love into silence? Now imagine if you had chosen gratitude instead. If you had seen every effort, every smile, every act of care as a priceless gift. Wouldn't the bond have felt stronger, more alive? Here's the truth. Love doesn't grow in criticism, it grows in gratitude. The more you notice and value your partner, the more love multiplies. Gratitude transforms ordinary days into miracles and ordinary people into soulmates. So pause for a moment. Picture your loved one. What's one small thing they do that you've never fully thanked them for? Imagine whispering it to them tonight. How would their heart feel hearing it? That's the 10th Stoic principle. Where gratitude lives, love flourishes. Because appreciation is the water that keeps love blooming. Principle 11. Practice detachment, love without chains. Love the person. Let me ask you, not the fantasy. Have you ever loved someone? Let me ask you something. The thought of losing them terrified you. When you first fell in love, you held on tightly. Didn't you believe your partner was perfect? Because the idea of life without them felt unbearable. Their habits seemed adorable. Do you remember that feeling? Even their mistakes felt forgivable. The jealousy, the fear that they might slip away, didn't it? We've all felt quirks that once made you smile started to annoy you. When love becomes possession, the flaws you overlooked became visible. Love and turns into fear. Remember that shift? And fear suffocates the very thing you want to protect. At first, love wears rose-colored glasses. Teach us something radical. Slowly, the truth emerges. No one is perfect. Imagine holding a butterfly in Stoicism. If you grip it too hard, you crush its wings. But if you let it rest gently, it stays freely, willing your love story. The same is true in relationships. Maybe you wanted them to always say the right words. When you detach from the need to own love, you create the space for it to breathe. Always understand your feelings. Think back to your own love story. Explaining. Maybe there was a time you tried too hard to keep someone. But pause for a moment. Checking your phone every minute. Haven't you also said the wrong silence? Did that make love stronger or did it slowly drain your joy? The Stoics remind us, imagine if you had loved them without when we accept human nature as it is. But without the person you love is not a fantasy character. They are real. Wouldn't that love feel lighter, freer, more real? Detachment doesn't mean imperfections where real love means you love fully, but imagine this: if you stopped wishing they were different instead of obsessing over tomorrow, cherish them as they are. You give your best self. Wouldn't your love story feel lighter, warmer, more real? That's the third Stoic principle. What if every flaw you once complained about? Love isn't about clinging; it's about giving. You chose to love deeply. That's the 11th Stoic freely in the present moment. Don't love the fantasy of perfection. Love the reality of the person. Because true love isn't about finding the flawless one. It's about choosing someone again and again, even when you've seen all their flaws. Principle 12. Live with purpose. Let love be guided by meaning, not just emotion. Let me ask you, have you ever loved someone so much that you lost yourself in them? You forgot your goals, your passions, even the dreams that once kept you awake at night. All that mattered was them. Do you remember that feeling? At first it felt romantic, but later, maybe it felt empty. Like you had traded your identity for the relationship. We've all seen love stories that burn bright but collapse because they had no deeper foundation. The Stoics remind us life is about purpose, not just pleasure. And the same is true for love. Think of your own love story. Maybe there was a time when emotions were strong but without direction. Arguments repeated, promises broke, and you kept asking yourself, where is this going? That's because emotion alone is not enough. Love without purpose drifts. But love with shared meaning grows. Imagine building a relationship not just on feelings, but on purpose, where both of you encourage each other's growth, support each other's dreams, and walk together toward something bigger than yourselves. Isn't that the kind of love that lasts? The Stoics would say, let your love align with virtue and purpose. Don't just ask, how do I feel with this person? Ask, who am I becoming with this person? If the answer is stronger, kinder, wiser, then that is love worth keeping. So pause for a moment. Think of your love story. Does it give you direction? Does it inspire you to become the best version of yourself? Because in the end, emotions fade, but purpose carries love through every season. That's the 12th Stoic principle, live with purpose. And let love be guided by meaning, not just emotion.